rock stars here. In the comments section below, you'll find a link that will give you access to more information about what we're going to talk about. You'll also find in this video a brief sample audio that you can check out. This is in relation to new frequencies we've just released, which are substance emulations for ivermectin and vitamin D. Now, this recent development is pretty special. We're using multiple methods to render a frequency design model representing ivermectin and vitamin D. So I'm going to talk about some of the more technical concerns and issues and details in a subsequent video. Unfortunately, we have jackasses out there that like to pillory our stuff, and I don't want to give those folks ammunition. And I want to also say a shout out. We had a client who recently funded development of these tracks, and so a huge thanks to that client. I'm going to talk a little bit about the basic actually four layers that are in these tracks. So part of the design model includes an envelope of frequency design that there was a number of problems that I needed to address. And these are problems that they're problems that affect generically individuals and groups around the planet that are doing this kind of design. And that had to do with scaling factor. It's known that one typical way that we might target a given substance is by octave division of its originating source frequency. But there's been reason to believe for some time that other scaling factors come into play, and there really hasn't been either an understanding of that sufficiently to date, in my opinion, and there hasn't really been a proper application of that. And so one of the things that we're doing in this frequency set is we're going to be incorporating some of my, I'm hoping, potential solutions to that issue, which basically just means that the render of the model becomes more accurate and hopefully more effective. So we're going to be taking a look at equivalencies to the molecular spectrometry. I always have a hard time saying that word. The molecular spectrometry of the substance. And we're also going to be taking a look at the actual geometry of the molecule. We're rendering three different molecules essentially here. We have B1A and B1B of ivermectin, and they have to be proportioned in a certain way. What that basically means is just that if you look at the actual molecule, it's composed of these two separate substances, and they're proportionately mixed. It's like an 80-20% ratio. So that had to be properly rendered in the frequency set so that the acoustics would be as accurate as possible. What we're essentially talking about here is creating a complex interference pattern that represents different parts and characteristics of the substances. I hope that makes sense. So another one of the layers is that we've taken a rotating topology of the molecular terrain. We've mapped that geometrically, and then we've sonified it. So that's one of the layers that's in there. And there's different reasons for doing that. The technique that we're using, I think, is somewhat unique in its representation. And then another problem was signal generation. So a lot of the signal generators out there, they have problems with accuracy. And there's a number of problems, which include things like drift over the wave envelope. So that has to be solved, at least in relation to the software and hardware. Or at least solved enough so that it doesn't compromise the signal. And then, and I apologize for the darkness. It's been a long day. I've been working a lot, so it's dark outside, and I just wanted to have a quick smoke and get this off to you guys fast. So yeah, it's not very bright. I apologize. And then the other thing is layered on top of that. This is where it gets really interesting too. Get a flashlight out here. So, as you know, we also develop a proprietary technology, which is basically just SOS directives. The SOS directive is basically a consciousness envelope that represents at least part of the state, right? So the state that would be associated with. And we found some really interesting things with ivermectin, at least from an archetypal standpoint. And there's some really interesting phenomenological attributes of the substance. And so we believe we captured some of that essence. And then we're also using multiple psychoactive type envelopes. And what I mean by that is that, so once we've captured all of these different, basically acoustic parts of the representation, what we're doing now is we're cycling those parts in ways that are known to be psychoactive. Why is that important? The reason that that's important is that it seems as though there's evidence in literature out there indicating that some kind of psychotropic style entrainment appears to be able to induce, similar or approximative effects of an actual substance, or at least you're going to get like very similar kind of feel. It's certainly going to be trippy. I mean, you'll be able to tell that when you hear the audio coming up. There's a lot of tracks here. I'm not initially going to make this available to the general public, so if you're watching this and you wish you could try it, I'm sorry. I'm only making this available to longtime SOS members first, and like the full collection of the frequency tracks. And then I'm also going to provide it to other people that I know. So if I don't know you and you don't have a history with me, you're probably not going to be able to get this for a while, because I'm not going to release this to the general public. If you want to try this collection out, and you know me and you have a history with me, then click the link below. That'll just take you to a really brief sign-up form. Just add your email there. And then what I'll do is I'll send more information out basically on how to access this, and then I'll get back to you. So in this collection, some of the tracks, they're not designed for audio. I mean, you can listen to them audibly. They probably won't sound very pleasant. But basically, these are for coil delivery, so silent delivery devices. Now, some of you have been asking me, what do I think are some good silent delivery devices out there? If you're on this new list, I will share my insights as to potential candidates that you can use for silent delivery if you don't have something yet. Just some ones that I've been evaluating that I think might be good candidates. But the tracks that are for the silent delivery and all of the rest of the audio tracks, some of the tracks are very suitable for just listening to. They're very precise in the elements and characteristics that we mapped. Now, I can't say that I know with any certainty if the best audio version of a substance can impart an effect. So all of this is theoretical. This is all speculation. It's a big fat I don't know. However, looking at the approach and how I've rendered it, I believe with the expertise that I've put into it, with the history of interesting effects that we've had in our group, using some of these different functions and modes, I'd say that there's a good chance that it's a worthwhile investment. If nothing else, it'll be trippy. Maybe you'll have some meditative fun. I'd be interested, if anybody out there has the facilities, be interested in someone administering these frequencies in a rigorous way. And then if you have the ability to do any blood train examination, that sort of thing, I'd love to hear about it. I got to turn this flashlight off. It's kind of driving me crazy. So there you go.